Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at the diamond industry. It's
Ooh.
going to be pretty interesting. We're going to be focusing specifically on De Beers, the company that's
Yeah.
basically synonymous with diamonds.
Yeah.
And we've got some recent articles here from Italian financial publications
Okay.
that paint a pretty interesting picture of their current situation.
Interesting is a good word for it. I think what I find really captivating about this topic is that
Yeah.
it just goes to show that even an industry that's, built on this idea of forever can be affected by global trends and
Right.
these changing consumer preferences we see.
Yeah, one of the things that really stuck out to me was this image in one of the articles called Una montagna di diamanti inventuti.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically De Beers just sitting on a mountain of unsold diamonds
Mm.
worth $2 billion.
Wow, it's a massive stockpile. The biggest they've had since 2008, really. It's a symptom of a deeper struggle that the diamond industry is facing, and I think it's being driven by a couple of major factors.
Let's break those down.
Yeah.
The articles talk about like this stagnating demand for diamonds,
Right.
which seems kind of strange to me because when you
Yeah.
think about it, diamonds have always been a symbol of enduring value.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's going on? What's causing this shift?
Well, one key factor that's highlighted in both articles is actually the economic slowdown in China.
Hmm.
China is a massive market for luxury goods, including diamonds. And their reduced purchasing power right now
Yeah.
is having this ripple effect across the whole industry.
So even diamonds aren't immune to the ups and downs
Definitely not.
of the global economy.
No.
That's something to think about. But it's not just the economy at play here, is it?
No, it's not.
The articles also point to the rise of lab-grown diamonds as a major disruptor.
Absolutely. Lab-grown diamonds are becoming increasingly popular.
Mm-hmm.
And for good reason. They're often significantly cheaper than mined diamonds. And there's this growing perception that they're a more sustainable option as well.
That makes sense. But can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, how are they more sustainable?
Yeah, for sure. So the traditional diamond mining industry has faced a lot of criticism over the years
Uh,
for its environmental impact. There are concerns about land degradation,
Yeah.
water usage, carbon emissions,
Right.
and there's also ethical considerations surrounding labor practices and
Yeah.
conflict diamonds.
Right.
Lab-grown diamonds kind of sidestep a lot of these issues
Mm.
by offering a way for consumers to enjoy the beauty of a diamond without some of that baggage.
It's almost like the diamond world is having its own version of the digital music revolution. You've got the established players like De Beers representing the traditional way of doing things,
Mm.
and then this new technology like lab-grown diamonds coming in and just disrupting the status quo.
Yeah, it's a very good comparison.
Right.
And just like digital music, it forced the music industry to adapt.
For sure.
Lab-grown diamonds are pushing those traditional diamond companies to rethink their approach.
So how is De Beers responding to all of this?
Okay.
They can't just sit on that $2 billion diamond
Girl.
stockpile forever.
Right. Well, they're definitely taking action. And both of these articles outline De Beers' two-part strategy.
Okay.
First, they're scaling back on their mining investments, which makes sense considering the current oversupply of diamonds.
Yeah.
And second, they're investing heavily in these marketing campaigns that
Well,
aim to kind of reaffirm the luxury and inherent value of natural diamonds.
I could definitely see the logic in that,
Mm,
play up that whole diamonds are forever concept.
yeah.
Emphasize the history,
Mm.
the heritage behind natural diamonds. But is marketing alone going to be enough to counter all these trends?
Right.
Especially when you consider that the articles cite a McKinsey study that's predicting lab-grown diamonds could capture significant market share in the coming years.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that a lot of industry experts are asking right now.
Right.
It's a very challenging landscape for De Beers to navigate and to make things even more complex.
Yeah.
De Beers' parent company, Anglo-American.
Yeah, that was in both articles.
Yeah, they're planning to spin off the diamond business,
Hmm.
which creates even more uncertainty about the company's future direction.
It seems like a pretty big move
Yeah.
to inject even more uncertainty into an already complicated situation.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to know what this restructuring will mean for De Beers' long-term strategy
Yeah.
and how they plan to adapt to this evolving market.
Well, it's a crucial moment for De Beers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot riding on their next steps. It's not just about their own survival.
Right.
It's about the future of the entire diamond industry and how it's going to adapt to all these changing dynamics, how it's going to adapt to all these changing dynamics.
It's fascinating to think about, you know, How much is at stake here? Not
Yeah.
just for De Beers, but for like
Right.
the entire diamond industry as a whole.
Absolutely. What we're seeing is a classic example of an industry at a turning point,
Yeah.
forced to adapt to all these new realities.
Okay, so we've established that De Beers is facing this like
Yeah.
pretty tough situation.
Mm-hmm.
A mountain of unsold diamonds.
Mhm.
Lab-grown diamonds are gaining popularity.
Yeah.
And then there's the uncertainty of this spin-off from Anglo-American.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is like the most pressing issue for them right now?
I would say the most urgent challenge is regaining control of the narrative.
Okay.
Right now, the story is being shaped by all this economic uncertainty
Yeah.
and the rise of lab-grown diamonds.
Right.
De Beers really needs to remind consumers
Yeah.
why natural diamonds have always held this special place in our culture
Right.
and why they still matter today.
That makes sense. But how do they do that?
Right?
Is it even possible to recapture that magic in a world where lab-grown diamonds are offering
Yeah.
a seemingly identical product at a fraction of the cost?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easy answer. But one strategy they could consider is shifting their marketing focus. Instead of just emphasizing luxury and scarcity,
Right.
they could try to connect with consumers on a deeper level,
Okay.
appealing to their values and emotions.
You're saying they need to go beyond just selling sparkle.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
need to tap into the reasons why people have always been drawn to diamonds in the first place.
Right.
The symbolism, the emotional significance,
Mm-hmm.
the connection to history and tradition.
The Una Montagna di Diamanti Invenduti article mentioned that De Beers has been increasing their stockpiles
Yeah.
in recent years, hoping for a price rebound.
Mhm.
But that hasn't happened.
Right.
Sales are actually down 20% compared to last year.
That's right. And it really underscores the need
Yeah.
for a new approach.
Uh-huh.
De Beers can't just wait around
Right.
for the market to change. They need to be proactive
Yeah.
in shaping the narrative
Right.
and redefining what a diamond represents in the 21st century.
The articles we're looking at suggest that De Beers is doubling down on like traditional marketing,
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing the heritage and craftsmanship
Mm-hmm.
of natural diamonds. Do you think that's the right approach?
It might be part of the solution,
Okay.
but I think it needs to be coupled with a more nuanced and sophisticated message that speaks to modern consumer values.
Okay.
Today's consumers are more informed,
Yeah.
more discerning than ever before.
Right.
They want to know where their products come from, how they're made,
Yeah.
and what impact they have on the world.
So are you saying De Beers needs to tell like a new story about diamonds?
I think so.
One that goes beyond just luxury and exclusivity?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They need to talk about the ethical sourcing of their diamonds,
Mm-hmm.
their commitment to sustainability,
Yeah.
their efforts to support local communities.
Yeah.
They need to highlight the human stories behind these diamonds.
Right.
The people who mine them,
Yeah.
the artisans who cut and polish them, the families who cherish them.
It's about adding a layer of meaning.
Yes.
Like a sense of purpose beyond just
Mhm.
the material object itself.
Precisely. It's about connecting with consumers
Right.
on an emotional and ethical level,
Yeah.
creating a deeper sense of value
Uh-huh.
that goes beyond price and scarcity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But let's not forget about those
Right.
lab-grown diamond disruptors.
Right.
The McKinsey study mentioned in the articles
Yeah.
predicts that lab-grown diamonds could capture a significant market share
Uh-huh.
in the coming years.
Right.
How should De Beers approach this challenge?
Right.
Should they try to fight it head on,
Okay.
or is there a way to coexist?
It's a complex issue, and there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
Some experts believe that De Beers should try to position natural diamonds as the premium choice,
Yeah.
emphasize their rarity and inherent value.
Okay.
Others argue that they should embrace the lab-grown diamond market, perhaps even acquiring or partnering with lab-grown producers.
Could they create like a hybrid model,
Possibly.
offering both natural and lab-grown diamonds
Mm-hmm.
under different brands or sub-brands?
That's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
It would allow them to cater to different segments of the market
Right.
and potentially appeal to a wider range of consumers.
It's interesting to think about how these two like
Yeah.
seemingly opposing forces,
Mm-hmm.
natural and lab-grown diamonds,
Right.
could potentially coexist
Right.
and even complement each other.
Yeah. It's a reminder that disruption doesn't always have to be destructive.
Right.
Sometimes it can lead to innovation and new possibilities.
Okay. And speaking of disruption,
Yeah.
let's not forget about that
Right.
impending spinoff from Anglo-American.
Yeah.
How do you think that will impact De Beers' strategy moving forward?
Well, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
but it could potentially give them more flexibility
Okay.
and independence to chart their own course.
Do you see it as like a positive development?
Mm,
Or does it add another layer of uncertainty to an already complex situation?
Probably a bit of both.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
on the one hand, it could allow them to be more agile,
Right.
more responsive to market changes.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
it also creates this whole new set of challenges and unknowns.
It seems like De Beers is facing a perfect storm of challenges,
Mm-hmm.
a changing market technological disruption,
Right.
and now a major corporate restructuring. What do you think their chances of success are?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Can they navigate these turbulent waters
Mm-hmm.
and emerge as a leader in the future of the diamond industry?
I think their success will depend largely
Okay.
on their ability to adapt, to innovate,
Yeah.
and to tell this compelling story that really resonates with consumers.
Right?
They need to embrace these challenges,
Right.
learn from their mistakes,
Yeah.
and find these new ways to connect with a changing world.
Sounds like a lot hinges on their leadership
Mm.
and their willingness to embrace new ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a crucial moment for De Beers.
Yeah.
And their decisions in the coming months and years are really going to have a profound impact
Right.
on the future of the diamond industry.
With all these factors at play, what do you think the future holds
Yeah.
for diamonds in general? Will they continue to hold their value,
Mm-hmm.
both literally and figuratively?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think we'll be exploring for years to come.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I believe that diamonds will continue to be valued for their beauty, their durability, and their symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we value them, the stories we tell about them,
Yeah.
the ways we acquire them,
Right.
are likely to evolve significantly in the years to come.
It sounds like the diamond industry is on the cusp of a major transformation,
Is.
and we're witnessing the early stages of that shift right now.
Precisely. And it's a fascinating case study
Yeah.
in how tradition and innovation can collide, creating both challenges and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But what's most interesting is that the outcome is far from certain.
Right.
A lot will depend on the choices
Yeah.
that De Beers and other industry players make in the coming years.
So what does all of this mean for us, the
Right.
consumers? How do we navigate this evolving diamond landscape?
I think the most important thing is to be informed
Okay.
and to make these conscious choices,
Uh-huh.
understand the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds.
Yeah.
Consider the ethical and environmental implications of your choices,
Right.
and ultimately choose a diamond that aligns with your values and priorities.
It's about being like a mindful consumer,
Yeah,
doing your research, asking the right questions.
exactly. And don't be afraid to challenge the status quo,
Right.
The diamond industry is changing,
Yeah.
and it's up to us, the consumers, to
Yeah.
help shape its future.
So as we wrap up this part 2
Okay.
of our deep dive into the diamond world,
Mm.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think the key takeaway is that the diamond industry is at a crossroads.
Oh.
And the choices we make as consumers
Yeah.
will play a significant role in shaping its future.
It's really empowering to think that we as consumers have a voice in this process.
Yeah.
And that our choices can actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind,
Mm-hmm.
let's shift our focus back to De Beers specifically.
Okay.
They're facing some pretty big challenges right now.
Yeah, they are.
What would you recommend they do to navigate this changing landscape?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm sure it's one that's top of mind for De Beers' leadership team as well.
Right.
I think the first step for them is to really acknowledge the reality of the situation. They can't just ignore the rise of lab-grown diamonds
Right.
or the fact that consumer preferences are changing. They need to embrace these challenges as opportunities for innovation and growth.
So you're saying they need to be proactive
Exactly.
rather than reactive.
Be willing to kind of challenge their own assumptions
Yeah.
and think outside that traditional diamond box.
The articles we've been discussing highlight De Beers' two-pronged strategy.
Yeah.
Reducing their mining investments
Yeah.
and doubling down on marketing.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be enough?
It could be a good starting point,
Okay.
but I think they need to go further. Reducing mining investments makes sense,
Yeah.
given the current oversupply of diamonds,
Right.
but it doesn't really address the underlying issue,
Mm-hmm.
which is declining demand for natural diamonds.
Okay.
And while marketing is important, Of course, it can't just be about,
Right.
reiterating those same old messages about luxury and scarcity.
Yeah.
They need to be telling a new story,
Okay.
one that really resonates with modern consumers.
What kind of story do you think they should be telling?
Well, they need to talk about the ethical sourcing of their diamonds,
Okay.
their commitment to sustainability, their
Yeah.
efforts to support local community. They should showcase the human stories behind their diamonds.
Yeah.
The people who mine them,
Right.
the artisans who cut and polish them,
Mhm.
the families who cherish them for generations.
It sounds like they really need to tap into those emotional
Yeah.
and ethical considerations that are driving consumer choices these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to show consumers that natural diamonds are more than just a luxury item.
Okay.
They're a symbol of enduring value,
Mm-hmm.
a connection to history and tradition,
Right.
a reflection of our deepest values and aspirations.
You're almost saying that it's about selling like an experience,
Mm-hmm.
a feeling,
Yes.
a story,
Yeah.
rather than just a product.
Exactly. And I think that's where the real opportunity lies for De Beers.
Okay.
They have this rich history and a powerful brand,
Right.
and they can leverage those assets to create a new narrative for natural diamonds in the 21st century.
Okay, so we've talked about like the ethical sourcing, the storytelling. But what about those lab-grown diamond disruptors?
Right.
How should De Beers be approaching this challenge?
Well, there are a few options they could consider.
Okay.
They could try to fight that lab-grown diamond market head-on,
Mm-hmm.
position natural diamonds as the premium choice.
Okay.
Or they could embrace the lab-grown market,
Okay.
perhaps even acquiring or partnering with lab-grown producers.
It sounds like they really need to decide whether they want to be like
Yeah.
a leader in the traditional diamond market
Yeah.
or a player in the broader diamond market,
That's a great way to put it.
which now includes
Yeah.
lab-grown diamonds as well.
It's a strategic decision with huge implications for their future.
And of course, let's not forget about that impending spinoff
Right.
of Anglo-American.
Uh-huh.
How do you think that will impact De Beers' ability to actually navigate all these challenges?
It's tough to say for sure,
Yeah.
but it could give them more flexibility and independence
Mm.
to chart their own course.
Right.
However, it also creates a whole new set of challenges and unknowns.
It really seems like De Beers is at
Yeah.
a pivotal moment in its history,
Yeah.
facing both these unprecedented challenges, but also these really exciting opportunities.
Absolutely. And it's going to be so interesting to see how they respond.
Yeah.
In the coming years, their decisions are not only going to shape their own destiny,
Right.
but also influence the future of the entire diamond industry.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the diamond world,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think the key takeaway here is that the diamond industry is in this state of flux, and the future of diamonds is far from certain.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, the choices we make as consumers
Right.
are going to play a significant role in shaping that future.
Yeah.
So whether we choose natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, or no diamonds at all,
Right.
those decisions are sending a message to the industry, and they're going to influence the direction it takes. So I would encourage your listeners to be informed and mindful consumers.
Right.
Do their research, ask the right questions,
Yeah.
and ultimately choose diamonds that align with their own values and priorities.
That's a really powerful thought.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the world that we want to live in. So thank you so much for joining us
You're welcome.
on this deep dive into this fascinating and ever-evolving world of diamonds. We hope you found it informative
Yeah.
and thought-provoking.
Oh,
And we encourage you to keep diving deep, keep asking questions,
for sure.
and keep exploring the world around you. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into topics that matter. Until then, stay curious.